So, welcome to Unwind Design. My name is Kimberly, and I'm your teacher for today. So, starting off with what we have in front of us, we have a 11 by 14 size canvas, long ways. We have our brushes, a large background brush. For a lot of the students, the color, it's a colorful brush. So it's a yellow brush, a red brush, a pink brush, or blue brush. I'm using this one. I misplaced my other one. I need to figure out where it flew. It flew away somewhere. Then we have our size 5/8 brushes. Okay, so we have our 5/8 brush, not brushes. Here we go. Next, we have our size 5 round tip. Yes, size 5 round tip. And then we have our size 1 or our size, 2.0 of our detail. Perfect. Next, we have our water. Make sure you have your towel. Make sure that you have your hair dryer or your fan, whatever you guys have. And then moving on to our colors, we have our yellow, white, brown, blue, and black. Okay, we are not using red today. That's the yellow color we're missing out of the primary colors, but we are going to be having our brown. So we're going to actually start off first with our round tip brush, which is our number 5 brush. And we're going to be dipping it in water. Why are we dipping our brush in water? One, our brush is dry. It's just been sitting there all night. So it needs to make sure that it's nice and soft so that these hairs can open up and that way we can get the smoothness that we want in our painting. Okay. I'm going to actually zoom in just a little bit. Cool. And I'm going to go up to the top. Next, our paint is sticky. So that's another reason why we're dipping our brush in our water. We want our paint to be soft. We want it to be creamy. We don't want it to be sticky. So we need to add some water. We don't want to drown it by adding a lot of water. So if you see that it's see-through and it's too water and it's like, teacher, why isn't my paint strong? Why is it all watery? Because you added too much water. So try adding a little bit less water. So I want you guys to just play with that a little bit. So we're picking up our round tip brush and we're going to start off first picking up a little bit of this yellow. And I like to use the corner in case I want to use some of this yellow later on. Okay, here we go. And I'm only going to add a little bit of brown. I don't want you to add brown. I'm adding brown so you guys can see it because I am going to be a little bit far. There we go. So we're using yellow. Cool. And we're going to start off on this top corner over here. Okay, so here's our top corner. We're going to do a sunflower today, actually. So let me show you what that looks like. See that? That's what we're going to be painting today, guys. Super cute. I love it. Look forward to doing that. So we're going to start off right here in the corner and we're going to come in and do our center of our flower. So we're coming in. From here, we're going to pick up a little bit more of that yellow and we're going to start to do about maybe 2 fingers of space. We're going to come out and we're going to make a point. See that? So I'm curving it and then I'm going in a little bit and bringing it to a point. Curve in. Next, we're going to do the same thing on the other sides. So we're going to curve, and that's how we're making our petals. You see that? There's 1 petal. 2 petals. 3 petals. So then we're going to come back with a little bit more of that yellow. And up here in between both petals, let me zoom in a little bit. So in between these 2, you're going to do the same thing you did down here. So 1, 2, see that? I'm doing it a little darker only because I want you to see it, but you guys are going to be using yellow, okay? There's 1. Here's another. And here's another. Okay, so once we are done with this, we're actually going to go in and we're going to fill these little petals out. So we're going to start first with our yellow and we're going to start to fill out the first ones. which are at the bottom. We're coming in and we're filling in the first ones out in here. Okay, a little bit of water, a little bit of yellow. Let's fill these in. We're using just yellow first. And then so that it doesn't blend, we're gonna add just a little bit of brown to the yellow like I did for the outlines. And you're gonna make a little bit of lines. It's only a little bit of brown. It's not a lot of brown, okay? It's mostly yellow. It's more yellow than brown. So we're coming in with that brown and we're gonna start to make a couple of lines going down with that light yellow brown. See that? It's not really dark. It's still very light. So remember, paint it in yellow first. Okay, so again, I'm showing you with this one, I'm painting it yellow first. And then I'm coming in with a little bit of that brown yellow, again, to add shadows. So see that? Now it looks a little bit more real because it has more colors. And like I always tell you guys, painting is a lot of layers. We're gonna come in and we're gonna paint the next one yellow. And then we're gonna pick up a little bit of that brown into the yellow. And we're gonna start to add a little bit of brown to that. Just a tiny bit. If it's too dark, add more yellow. You can control what your painting looks like. If you think it looks too dark, make it lighter. And we're gonna do the same thing over here on the back ones. Okay, I'm painting the back one. And the back one, I am only painting in with that yellow brown. I'm not using a lot of yellow. I'm just using that yellow brown. See how it looks a little darker? Because I didn't use a lot of yellow. I just used yellow brown. This one has more yellow and then yellow brown. That's why it's a little bit brighter. So again, what we did now is we grabbed a little bit of, or we grabbed our square brush. We picked up some brown. We painted the inside with that brown. We just made a little line, filled it in with some of that brown. Then with our round tip brush, again, we picked up some brown to add our mid-tone, so just brown. And we did some dots all the way around. Then we picked up brown with yellow to add our highlight. Okay, so brown with yellow is our highlight. So what is our shadow? Okay, so our shadow color is going to be brown with a little drop of black. Okay, again, a little bit. You don't need a lot. If it's too dark, add a little bit more brown to it so it gets lighter. And with that shadow color, look at how that's starting to look now with the shadow. It's looking really cool. So we're going to go in there and we're going to cover up anything that we left white inside that space. Okay, we're coming in. Again, brown with black is the shadow. Brown with yellow is the highlight. And then plain brown is the mid-tone. Okay, so if I made it too dark, I'm going to come back with a little bit more of that brown with yellow again, just to make it light. So you always go back and forth. You have the control. You're the one holding the brush. If you want to change something, change it. If you don't like something, fix it. But remember, there is no wrong or right way. There's only your style and the way that you do things. So we're coming in with a little bit more of that yellow, and look at how that's starting to look. If you want to add a little bit of that shadow brown, Down here, you can totally add another layer of that right up on top. See, so now this is a little bit darker. So what we're going to do is we're going to be using our big brush again. If you want to outline your flowers first so that your brush doesn't make it weird, you can grab your round tip. We're actually going to be picking up a little bit of this blue. Make sure you add some water to it. And this is what I mean by outlining. So what you can do is you can come in with your brush. You can make a nice big outline around. And let me show you why I'm doing this outline. So that you can come in with your big brush and then paint that in. You see that? That way your big brush doesn't have to make that line. Your round tip will. Then your line will be a lot straighter. So we're gonna come in with that blue. And if you wanna make your lines, again, with the blue first and then paint it, go ahead and do that. The brush is pretty thick, so it's a little hard to make a straight line. Okay, so we're gonna be painting blue on the top. Okay, make sure you get some of that blue. And we're doing this X movement below. Okay, so again, we want to get that straight line. You can use your round tip if you want to get a straighter line. So I like to go back and forth with my two brushes. So I'm picking up some of that blue. And as we start to go down, we start to curve that blue more this way. So pick up a little bit of that water again. I'm going to pick up my round tip just to make that line so that I don't go into my petals with my big brush. Okay, so I'm using this round tip and I'm adding that line a little bit smoother. So next, we are continuing with this blue, adding water to it to make sure that it's nice and smooth. And we're going to continue to paint this top part a dark blue. See that? And as we start to paint with this blue, we're going to pick up just a little bit of white and mix it into the blue because it's going to start to get a little bit lighter. And you can do X's. This doesn't have to look so perfect. I like to do X's with my lines, back and forth, add a little bit more white, back and forth. That way it gets a little bit lighter as we go lower. See, dark, and then it gets lighter as we go lower. Again, I'm doing these X's. See, covering the whole page, nice and soft, back and forth. See how we're trying to get it super nice? If you want it to be a little bit darker, again, come back with a little bit more of that dark blue. Okay, we're gonna keep this up. And look at how pretty that's looking. Dark blue, you can come back with more dark blue on top and start working on making it a little bit darker and then lighter in the bottom. We are now going to be picking up the same brush, our round tip, our number 5. Make sure I don't get some water on there. And we're going to be picking up a little bit of white. We're going to be actually working on a base coat. What is a base coat? A base coat is something that you add on top of a dark color so that when you paint it, the color stands out. Okay, so for example, right now we're gonna paint a bee. So right here in the corner, we're gonna come in and we're gonna do almost like a little water drop, but upside down. You see that? It's chubby on top and then it's pointy towards the bottom. Okay, so you're like, teacher, that doesn't look like a bee. Okay, not yet. But when this dries, when we add our yellow will pop because it's white. If we added yellow to blue, you wouldn't be able to see it. So there is the body. We're gonna do the wings. Okay, so we're gonna come in, do the wings. Same thing over here. Okay, and while we let that dry, we're gonna move on to our petals and our flower stem. So using that same brush, we are washing it off while we let this dry. You know what, I'm gonna add a little bit more white to this just because it looks like it's a little dark still. Okay, so there we go. So we're washing off the brush and the colors we're gonna use are going to be green and yellow. But you're like, teacher, I don't have green. How do you make green? You bring in a little bit of blue and you mix it into the corner of your yellow, and that's all it is. The more blue you add, the darker the green. The more yellow you add, the lighter your green. And you can also add a little bit of white, and that'll turn your green into an avocado or a minty green. You see that? So blue with yellow makes green. If you add more blue, it makes dark green. If you add more yellow, it adds more like a lime green. And if you add white, it makes it look minty. So we're gonna start off with some blue and some yellow. Okay, look at that. So grab that green, and then with that green, come back and pick up a little bit of the yellow too. So I have green and I have yellow on my brush. I have both colors. You see that? Both colors are on there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start from right here in the point. Wherever you see a point, you can start from the back, you can start from here. I wanna start from this corner right here, this point. I'm gonna make it look like if my stem is coming out from there. See? And then from there, I'm gonna just bring it down. I'm gonna come back, pick up a little bit more of this yellow, and I'm just gonna scratch the yellow on top. See? And it looks now like if it has a highlight. Again, I'm always adding highlights and shadows. That makes your painting look more realistic, more 3D, more real. If I want to add some shadows, I can add a little bit of blue right on there. And look at how it looks if I add blue. Boom, look at it got darker. So again, I'm gonna grab this and I'm gonna make a leaf. So how do we make leaves? Come out, curve, and then come back. If you want it a little bit darker, you can add a little bit more blue. Want it lighter, you add more yellow. That's how you get those colors. There's one leaf. Let me do the other side now. I'm gonna pick up that green again. And then for this one, I'm gonna do the leaf a little lower. And then I'm gonna curl this leaf. Why not? I like that style, so I'm gonna do it. And I have that green. Come back with a little bit more yellow if you wanna make it lighter. And look at those leaves. How cool is that? You can also curl the one on top if you want. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Perfect. There we go. If you want it darker, again, add more blue. If you want it lighter, add more yellow. Once we're done with this, we're going to come in and we're going to paint our bee all yellow. And you see how bright my yellow is coming out? So the final thing we have left to do is to outline. So we can pick up our skinny little brush. We're picking up our black, adding some water to it, and we're going to start to outline the whole thing. We're going to start first with our petals. So I'm starting on the top here, and I'm just going around each of these petals. And we're going to be using the black to make all of these lines. We're going to outline our petals. We're going to outline our leaves and our stem. And then we're going to outline our bumblebee. So again, once we start to get closer to our bee, we start to make two little lines with two circles for antennae. Then we're going to come in and do the body. So we paint the stinger first, and you could even make it pointier if you want to. And then we start to paint in the black. See that? A little bit more of that black. Nice and thick. Same thing on top. We still need to make our line to show where our bee is flying. That is our final thing before our signature. So we're going to start out from the back. We're going to be making these lines to show where the bee is flying. We're going to do a little loop. And then we're going to come to the back over here, make it look as if the bee has been flying this way until it disappears. See? So we make it look as if our bee is flying around. Let me show you guys a little bit lower. And it shows a little path as to where our bee is going. And there we go. After this, all you really need is your signature. And then you're done. So I'm going to give you. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure to check out our videos on our website at www.unwindanddesign.org.